I've been thinking a lot lately about developing a hand-knit capsule wardrobe, thanks to someone who submitted the suggestion in the Wool Needles Hands tip line. And for today's episode of the podcast, I'm going to be chatting with you about what I think is going to be the first piece of my hand-knit capsule wardrobe. In addition to that, I also have a couple works in progress I want to catch you up on since the last time I shared my whips with you. So grab a cup of something cozy and let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Taylor, and I will be your host. This is a podcast primarily about knitting, though I do get up to other fiber-related topics from time to time. I am coming to you from my home in Henderson, Nevada, which is a small town outside of Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Southwest United States. This is where I'm from and where I live with my husband Branden, our two boys Ronan and Angus, our dog Pepper, and our cat Oscar. If you would like to reach out and connect, you can find all of the appropriate links in the description box of this video, with a special link that will take you off to the show notes for this video that can be found over at woolneedleshands.com. You can also do that by scanning the QR code that you see pop up on your screen right now. That code will take you directly to the show notes for today's episode of the podcast. Before I dive into the content for today's episode, I do want to let you know that Fiber for the People, my hand-dyed yarn business, had a shop update today, and I had a large inventory of really pretty Grand Canyon trip inspired mini skein sets. If you're a regular viewer of the podcast, you know that my family and I just took a trip to the Grand Canyon area a few weeks ago. Well, I came up with a mini skein set of collections based on that trip to northern Arizona, and those went over really well in the shop this morning. There are just a few kits left, so if you're interested in developing your mini skein collection, now's a really great opportunity. The skeins are all available on 100% Peruvian baby alpaca yarn, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So head over to fiberforthepeople.com right now. You can find that link in the show notes, or you can just type it into your browser and see if there's something there that catches your fancy. Also, and I did mention this on the midweek ramble on Wednesday, the merch shop is now being completely hosted over at woolneedleshands.com, and there are some new items in the merch shop that I definitely think you need to check out. They are fresh and fun and really cool conversation starters, and a fantastic way to support the work that I'm doing here at the Wool Needles Hands YouTube channel. For example, the shirt that I'm wearing today is the Hello shirt. Hello. I absolutely love it. It's printed in this, the letters, you can see the little speckles on the letters. I don't know if I can get that much closer for you to really see it, but this print right here, it's that like kind of tile effect, and I'm drawing it blank, and I want to say, I know this is wrong, terrazzo tile. What is that like speckly tile? Oh, I was right. It's terrazzo tile. Look at this. Yeah, it's terrazzo tile. That's what's on here, and it's really cool. So it's the Hello tee. It is available in a t-shirt. It is also available in a really adorable tote bag, which I love. And speaking of tote bags, I just got the sample today for the new organic cotton denim tote bags. You guys, this tote bag is enormous. You could fit 2 sweater projects in this piece of cake, and I love it. So this is also available in the shop. It is the Wool Needles Hands Knitting Podcast tote bag. It is so cool. I love this so much. So it's organic cotton denim, and it's huge. I mean, look at this. I could put like half of one of my children in here. This is enormous. And what I love about this is it has a pocket on the inside. So yeah, like right there. A little pocket for your shiz. Support your favorite knitting podcast. It's a fantastic way to do that, and you can find all of that merch right over at woolneedleshands.com now. I'm using a different supplier that I know and that I trust from using it previously for Fiber for the People. Everything ships readily. There's not a lag time in shipping. So if you have purchased merch in the past and you've noticed that delay in shipping, I'm hoping this remedies that for the most part. I am going somewhat off book today. I have only a few things in here. This is going to be, I say this, so I might be eating my words when I'm all done, but I'm thinking this is going to be a short episode. Before we start talking about the capsule wardrobe and that whole thing, I do want to give you a quick glimpse of the progress I'm making on the Sundance throw by Mama in a Stitch. Now, the reason I'm showing this first is because what you're going to see me share with you after this is pretty low on color. I mean, intentionally so, but it's just going to seem like everything gets real dark. And that's cool because I'm loving what's happening back here, but we need to, add some color. Maybe I should have shared this last to kind of end with color. I can show it to you at the end of the podcast just to give you a refreshing palette cleanser of color. But here we are with my Sundance throw. This is the progress I've made. Is this much progress since the last time you saw it? I can't remember where I was. It all just seems to blend together. But I adore this project. It's simple. It looks complicated because of this ripple thing happening here, and it's not. If all you've ever if all you've ever crocheted was a granny square, you can absolutely do this. I'm crocheting this in Lion Brand Mandala, and this cake is starting to self-destruct. But this is what I have left of this particular cake, and I'm super excited to get through this one. Not that I don't like what's going on here. I think that these colors and then these colors afterward, it looks really pretty together. I'm not a pink person. I just don't like pink all that much, but in combination with other things where it works. And then of course the certain kind of pink that I really love, but this is actually looking really nice. So I'm loving the way this looks, but I'm really excited to get to the next cake, which I didn't grab. Hold on. Again, this is Lion Brand Mandala. It's just a 100% acrylic yarn. It calls it a sport. I don't know. I mean, it kind of looks like a DK weight to me, but whatever. Who cares? This is the color palette. How pretty is that color palette? This is way more down my alley than this pinky purpley periwinkle situation happening here. But all of them together are going to be absolutely beautiful. Ugh, so pretty. So that is a quick look at my Sundance shawl by Mama in a Stitch. Love it so much. It's a really fun thing just to grab and go. I've actually, when we go to the park, we've been going on bike rides the last week or so since the weather's starting to kind of warm up a little bit. And so I put this in my Wool Needles Hands denim tote bag. It's perfect for that. And I mean, I could put this and my dog in there too. It's huge. And I take it with me to the park, and it's such a fun thing to work on, and it kind of catches their eye because of the colors, and I think that's cool. So that is the Sundance shawl. Mama in a Stitch. If you need something kind of like a palette cleanser or just something relaxing to work on, moving into spring, and you want some fun colors, it's a really excellent project. Now, it's been 2 weeks since I've shared any progress with you on Branden's Franken sweater. This is the husband of Franken sweater number 2, Mr. Franken sweater, whatever we want to call it. But it is another Franken sweater. If you don't know what I mean by Franken sweater, instead of explaining that to you here, I'm going to encourage you to go back and watch previous episodes of the podcast and dive into the Franken sweater saga, because it's a good one. This is where I'm at. Guys, it's not a lot to write home about. I've been kind of distracted lately with this. I've been working on the baby mama blanket. I shouldn't call it that. But I have a baby blanket I'm working on right now, and that's been taking some time. And then I've been watching things at night without doing anything at all. So I don't know. I haven't been making a ton of progress on this, and I'm okay with that. It's not something like I've mentioned before, as if I need help sleeping at night because of this. He's not going to be wearing it anytime soon, so it's not like a marathon to try to get it done right away. But this is what I have so far of my husband's Franken sweater. I kind of wish I had taken a picture of it on him so that you could see. You know what? I'm going to go get him. Hey, babe. When you get done, can you come into my office? Okay. You'll need to have clothes on. He's showering right now, and I told him that when he gets done showering, he needs to step into the office, this space here, and I want to use him so I can put this on and show you what it looks like on him. But this is what it looks like so far. I think that's a little bit more progress than you saw last time. I mean, I don't really know. It's coming along. It's just, it's taking a little time. I feel like I know as I work on this, I have so much more to go because he's such a bigger person than I am. So I'm not used to, working this large yoke of a sweater. But I enjoy it. I enjoy knitting it. I love the yarn. This is Lovely Valley Wool. It is a local breed specific yarn, local to Nevada, here where I live. It is Rambouillet. It's gorgeous yarn. It is very barnyardy. Oh, it smells fantastic. It smells like a mix of sheep's wool, like sheep's wool smells, and leather, like this gorgeous leather bag. This is an armlet bag by JesabelleB. It snaps and goes over my arm like this. I've talked about this on the show before. I'm obsessed with it. But this is by JesabelleB. She's a Canadian bag maker. She's amazing. Her leather products are fantastic. So this, and it smells so good, has a blend of like those two smells, which is like uber barnyardy. I love it. What I want you to look at though is just how speckled the fabric is with all of that vegetable matter. I think that spinners call it CVM, vegetable matter. Something vegetable matter. CVM yarn. What is CVM? California? No, not CVM like the breed. Maybe I'm confusing CVM, the breed of sheep, to VM. Okay, this has gone way too long. Okay, we're not talking about that anymore. What I'm trying to show you here is all of the little pieces of hay stuck in the fabric. So as I knit with this, all these little pieces of hay get knit up into the fabric. And I love that. But part of me is kind of thinking like, what do I do with that? Because the big pieces like, oh, like this one, look at this one. Hold on. That's what we're doing today on today's episode of the podcast is we're looking at vegetable matter stuck in Taylor's yarn. Look at that giant piece. Okay. So what I've been doing is as I work on this, I just pick them out, but I have to be really careful because you don't want to like pick the yarn apart. So this one, don't judge me on my nails. They're really bad. Can you see that big piece? Holy moly. And I also too noticed that if I'm wearing like darker colored pants and I'm working on this, I get a little like smattering of like hay particles on my lap from working with this. That isn't a bad thing to me. It doesn't bother me at all. I kind of get a chuckle out of it. I think it's funny. It might bother some people. So you do have to know going into it that this yarn, and you can actually see in the yarn, like, look at that. It's just all up in there. So what are your thoughts on that? I've mentioned this before that I love that. I think it's kind of just a reminder of where the yarn comes from and it doesn't bother me, but I can absolutely see that bothering people. And so I'm curious to know your thoughts on that. And I've actually had somebody say in the comments too, that some yarn company, not companies, but like places that sell, breed specific, locally sourced, real like farm to needle yarn will put additional vegetable matter into the fiber or something during the milling process to give it that aesthetic, I guess. That to me is, I don't like that. I think that's a little weird. I was just a little strange, but I know that I've heard that that's something that happens. I don't know how true that is. I don't think that that's happened here. I actually, through a few people, know the people from Lovely Valley Wool, or at least they are known by people that I know, whatever. And it doesn't strike me like that would be something they would be into. I don't know. Who's to say? To each their own. When Branden comes walking in here in a little bit, as he's, been asked to do, we'll try that on and see where we're at with that so far. I'm hoping the needle might be too short. I might need to swap out the needle, but we'll get an idea of how it fits on his shoulders, how it fits around his neck at this point, most importantly. Okay, so at the opening of this video, I mentioned to you that I've been thinking about a hand knit capsule wardrobe. Now, a couple things that maybe I've never mentioned before and you might not know about me is that when it comes to clothing, I don't like having a lot of clothes. I have very few items of clothing. There are things seasonally that I have, but when it comes to any given time, my wardrobe is actually pretty compact. I will donate clothes. I donate clothes all the time. I don't like to hold on to things that I don't wear and have them languish when I could donate them to charities and all of that. I just don't like having a lot of clothing. And the idea of a capsule wardrobe has always appealed to me. And in a lot of ways, that's kind of what I have. With, like the little things, like the t-shirts, like with the pictures on them and stuff. I have a little collection of that kind of thing that I like to wear under a cardigan with a basic pair of pants. And that's like a look for me, right? I'm very casual, unless needs be that I dress it up a little. But I've thought about developing a capsule wardrobe, and someone suggested in the Wool Needles Hands tip line, where you can leave suggestions for midweek ramble videos, about really great patterns for kind of like a hand knit capsule wardrobe. And so I was thinking a lot about that, and a couple of thoughts occurred to me. The first thing was that that's a fantastic idea, because I know that there are a lot of really great patterns on Ravelry and on Etsy and a lot of different places that create garments that are just very classic, in the sense that they kind of go with everything, or that they can be modified to work for you the way you want them to work, but would be considered like capsule pieces, if you want to refer to them as like pieces. But hand knit in the climate where I live, I've kind of always wondered, does that make any sense? Like, we have the 4 seasons and everything, but during the summer it's pretty warm and you really need to have lightweight clothing, which kind of took me off on the tangent of maybe I need to start learning how to sew my own clothing. But not really, that intimidates me. But how can I use the skills that I already have to kind of contribute to a capsule collection or a capsule wardrobe? So I was thinking, after the last video where I shared with you, or 2 videos ago, where I shared with you really great patterns for warmer weather knits, I was inspired by the Colette tee. So this is a t-shirt pattern, and I believe, I can't remember the name of the designer, but I'll pop it up for you so you can see, but this is called the Colette tee. That appealed to me because it's a very classic t-shirt design, and I thought that if I am going to create a handmade or hand knit capsule wardrobe, the best place for me to start, because of the type of person I am in terms of my favorite things to wear, would be a t-shirt. And this t-shirt just absolutely appealed to me. So that was the direction I figured I'd go to start my capsule wardrobe. And generally speaking, I think this is a fantastic idea for a video. I do plan on exploring this further. So I loved the suggestion that was left in the tip line. So I appreciate the person who sent that, because it's gotten me thinking about it. But I want to share with you what I have for that piece. And I'm going to tell you, spoiler alert, it's not the Colette tee. And I'll explain a little bit about why in just a moment. But this is what I have. And what is really exciting me about this, and I apologize, it's black. Sharing dark things on the podcast is just by nature always going to be kind of challenging, so just bear with me. But this is exciting for a couple of reasons, one of which is the yarn that I'm using. It's almost a 50-50 blend of merino and cotton, and it is a dream to work with. And I got it on Amazon. I have it over here in my little butcher tray that I use for watercolor painting. These are all the little balls of yarn that I'm using for this. Like, look at these little guys. How cute are those little guys? So this is the yarn that I'm using for this t-shirt pattern that I'm doing down here. The reason why I went onto Amazon was because I had discovered what I think is this yarn like a little while ago, and I remembered it when I was thinking of wanting to do something that had cotton in it, and so I went back to look for it. This is by a company called About Strings, and from what I know, they are based out of Canada. The yarn is made in China, like much of the yarn produced, for like knitting yarn and for garments in the United States, where much of that is produced. And I know that that's like can be kind of an issue for some people, but it comes from a company based out of Canada. I don't know the whole backstory of the yarn, but it's a really cool cotton merino yarn. And I really love the color, the really rich, deep color. Now, I don't offer a merino cotton base in the shop. I don't do a lot of dyeing for side projects, because I know the question's going to come up, why don't I just dye the yarn myself? I don't do a lot of that. Like, I'm going to dye my own yarn. I don't do a lot of dyeing side projects because I try to keep my workload to, not a minimum, but I try to keep it structured for my shop updates. So if that question arises, that's the only reason why I chose not to dye this yarn for myself. That would require me purchasing an excessively large shipment of yarn just to satisfy my needs for the single project, and that's not feasible for me for a yarn base that I don't typically offer in the shop, if that makes any sense. My first foray into a cotton merino blend, and so far I absolutely love the feel. I love the way that it knits. I love the speed that just kind of seems to be effortless. It's really fantastic. So I really do love the yarn. Here is what I have so far of what is going to become my first like capsule collection item, and it's a t-shirt. Now, I'm not here to say that this is going to be a whole new series of episodes where I share a new capsule item. This is just right now. This is what I'm working on, and I'm excited to have it and to consider it, you know, like a capsule wardrobe piece. So I know this is going to be a little difficult to see, but I'm just going to show you the details. So it has a 1x1 ribbed neckline, and it has a little pearl bump ridge separating the crew neckline from the rest of the stockinette sweater, which is my own design. I am improvising this as I go. And then the raglan seams, I'm doing little pearl bumps in between the raglan stitches. And I don't know how easy that is to see. I can't really tell as I'm looking at this on the screen. So right here, the raglan seam has one little pearl bump in between the raglan stitches to give it a little bit of a kind of stitched together look, which is really cute. And then you have that pearl bump ridge. What I'm gonna do is throw this over my head so you can kind of get an idea of the shape that I have so far. So let's see if I can do this without messing up what the situation up here. Your girl's got somewhat of a ponytail, you guys. We're getting to ponytail territory. Can you believe it? Okay, I think I managed to do it. All right, let's see. All right, so this is like my first time trying this on. So the neckline comes right here where I wanted it to be nice and like a high crew neck. You can see it kind of matches the shirt that I'm wearing underneath. So there's the neck. And then these are the raglan seams right here. I wouldn't call this like a Franken sweater or a Franken t-shirt, only because I'm not piecing patterns together. I'm actually improvising this on my own and taking pretty detailed notes. This is something that could potentially become a knitting pattern I would release into the wild. So definitely keep posted for that. But I'm really loving it so far. I'm loving this neckline. It sits nice and high, like I want it to, right there at the base of my neck. It's a nearly 50-50 cotton merino blend, so it's not going to grow much with blocking, and it's not using superwash merino. It's just natural merino, natural cotton. So it's going to hold its shape nicely, and I'm really excited about it. I love the look of the stitches with this yarn. Let's just check myself before I wreck myself. All right. Yeah, if I have frizzy hair from here on out, at least we all know why. Okay, it's fine. It's gonna be fine. I love the stitch definition. I don't know if you can make it out very much, but the stitch definition with this yarn is just so nice. It's really, really pretty. That's a really good shot of the raglan seam. I really love it. So I don't know what I'm gonna call this right now. You can go ahead and give me some suggestions in the comment section what we should call this project, but I'm excited about it and I really, really enjoy the process. I'm enjoying the yarn. It's nice yarn. It's a really great color, and actually the color reminds me, well, not just the color is not the same as this, but the yarn and the feel of the fabric reminds me of this sweater. This is a sweater that you've seen me wear. I wore this on the video where I was talking about men's sweaters. This is a sweater I purchased at a thrift store a few years, well, several years ago, and it's just a raglan sleeve turtleneck sweater. So I don't know if you guys remember that video. I was wearing a hat talking about men's sweaters, and this is the one that I was wearing. I absolutely love this sweater. It is one of my absolute favorites to wear. It just looks classic on, and it's made with 100% cotton yarn. And it's got like a heft to it. It's kind of heavy, but I love the stitch definition of this. I love the wearability. I love that it's not too hot despite being a turtleneck. It's just my favorite like throw on black sweater for those in between seasons when it's a little chilly. But I was thinking about this when I was thinking about this, is I wanted kind of like a similar vibe, but in a t-shirt. And I loved kind of having this as like an inspirational reference because it's made of cotton, so you get that really pretty stitch definition. This doesn't have any merino in it. This is 50-50 almost. This is all cotton, so it's a little bit different, but I love it. So anyway, this is one of my store-bought, thrifted sweaters that kind of is inspiring that just a little bit. But I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the idea of a hand knit capsule wardrobe. I'm mulling around ideas of different pieces that you could add to that wardrobe that would make sense in this climate where I live. So all good things. I think Branden is out of the shower, so I'm gonna call him in here and have him try on what I have so far of his sweater. Is he gonna be uncomfortable? Okay. I'm gonna have you sit here and I'm gonna try this on you. Of course, you're gonna be like super high up in that chair. Okay, smile. Let's go ahead and... Okay, the biggest thing, look up at the sky for me. The biggest thing is like where it sits on your neck.
Yeah.
It's gonna, when I block this, it's gonna open up a little bit. Well, it's gonna open up enough. Does that feel, what does that feel? Be honest.
I mean, it feels snug, but not like bad. Like it just feels like a turtleneck.
So if it opens up a little bit in blocking and all of that, you think it'll be?
Yeah.
Because I think that's because it's not super snug.
Right.
It's gonna look so handsome. Okay, you're free to go. Thank you, babe. You smell good. Let me just pop that off. Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
That went well, and I think it looks really good. So that was the first time I've actually tried this on him. Well, not the first time. It was like the first time. That was the second time I've tried this on him, but I've had some progress now, so I can kind of see like the trajectory for the yoke of this sweater. And I think it's going to be good. I'm going to set this down here. When I first tried it on him, I was a little concerned about the neck being too snug, but I think those concerns are relaxing a little bit because I just know it's going to open up in blocking the same as my Franken sweater did, because my Franken sweater sat pretty close up to my neck, but after I blocked it, it really opened up and kind of got that like Audrey Hepburn neckline. I'm not thinking that's what's going to happen here, but I know it's going to open up a little bit and give him a little bit more space to breathe. So you got to see it in the flesh, not it being my husband. You got to see Branden in the flesh, of course, but you got to see the sweater in action, and I think that's awesome. That's exciting. It makes me feel excited about that project. So yeah, well, there you have it, you guys. That is it for me today. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me and listen to me share some of these updates with you on my current projects, some ideas I have about capsule wardrobes. I really want to talk about that. So, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you would like to see a video about how to develop a capsule wardrobe or patterns for a really great hand-knit capsule wardrobe, let me know in the comments. I would love to produce a video like that. It's right down my alley right now. But I've enjoyed chatting about these things with you guys today. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time. If you took any value from this video or enjoyed yourself at all, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified anytime I upload new content here on the channel, which is every Wednesday and every Sunday. And if you'd like to support the Wool Needles Hands channel and the work that I'm doing here, a great way to do that is to head over to the merch shop at woolneedleshands.com. And thank you so much for the additional support. Until we meet again for Wednesday's Midweek Ramble, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.